We've been breaking down the New York Jets schedule piece by piece by piece here on the program, and now we've got another piece to dive into. The month of October, the New York Jets have not one, not two, not three, not four, but five football games. We'll give you all the juicy deets on them next. Zoinks! It is unequivocally the Super Bowl for New York Jet fans.
Field Yates, baby. Field gosh darn Yates. Let's bring him on the show.
Come on, people. Connor Rogers is joining the show. What's up, Connor? But Trevor gosh darn Sycamore, baby, for me, personally, my favorite New York Jet of all time.
Wow, it's great to be on. What an intro that was right there.
Paul, nobody does an intro like you, man.
Paul, you give the best intro of literally any podcast that I've ever been.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas.
Hey, what's poppin', everybody? Paul Esden Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Welcome to Boy Green Daily, a daily New York Jets video show, also available wherever you get your podcast, baby. And let's get right to it. Every weekend, we dive into the Hop on Pop pool. And like I said, our current bit that we've been doing is breaking down the New York Jets schedule. We broke down the first four games. You guys can find that in the Boy Green Daily playlist or wherever you find your podcast. It's time to break down the month of October, which has a bunch of intriguing games. Before we get there, let's bring him in. My father, a little hop on pop action here on a weekend edition in the middle of June. What's up, Pop?
Hey, good morning, Boy Green. Happy
Yeah.
to be here, and it's a beautiful day in June. And I think I'd just like to let everybody know that's
Okay.
listening
Sure.
that after multiple requests,
Hmm.
several beatings, Boy Green has finally put coffee cups on his website for sale. A couple different styles. It's finally happened. The ship has come in. So he's going to put the link on there. Check it out. But yeah, 6 months after requested, 10 years after requested, he's finally come across.
That is true. So if you go right now into the YouTube bio of this video, there is a direct link to the Boy Green shop, and there's a bunch of stuff in there, from ceramic coffee mugs to the camping style mugs, because you guys have named yourself the Boy Green Daily Coffee Club, so you guys can sip some coffee while you're watching the show. There's hats in here, shirts, t-shirts, you name it, you got it. Plus, we'll be continuing to add new stuff to the pile, so stay tuned and check it out all the time. And, Father's Day coming up, get some gifts, some prizes, all kinds of stuff could be happening. Yeah.
Yeah. And just like Boy Green's headshots, autographed headshots, things are cheap. Things are cheap.
That's right. Yeah. It's a good price. All right, everybody. Let's get right into it. So we're going to break down the New York Jets schedule. And like I said, for this episode, we're going to, and there it is. Jerby says my mug is already in the mail, baby. Yes, excellent. And other people, feel free to jump on and support the show. That'd be a cool way to do so. So feel free. Like I said, YouTube description. That's youtube.com/boygreen25. If you guys are on heavy on Jets, or my Twitter account at boygreen25. If you guys would like the direct link to that, we appreciate it. The Jet schedule here. And again, we broke down the first four games, which are very interesting. And then at the end of this exercise, after we go through all of the pieces, giving you guys interesting details on Super Bowl odds, playoff odds, and all these analytical projections for the teams they are playing, and giving you guys some details, we will give an official Jets schedule prediction as we go through that portion of the exercise. But let's look at the Jets schedule. And week 5 is a trip to London. This is across the pond for the New York Jets. They do not have their bye week immediately after. They decided against that. They're not taking it. And the Jets will be going to London. But as you look at this for the Minnesota Vikings, I have like I said, the analytical projections from ESPN on how they think every team in the NFL is, how they're going to perform. You got to scroll a little while to find the Vikings, who are projected to be 7-10 this season. That is their ESPN win-loss projection. And of course, with that, their odds to do anything in terms of the Super Bowl or anything of that nature are all very slim. 0.6% chance of making the Super Bowl, a 0.2% chance of actually winning it. And they've got a quarterback situation of Sam Darnold. Yeah, that guy's pretty familiar. J.J. McCarthy. My anticipation, and based on everything we're hearing, is that it sounds like Sam Darnold is going to get the quote-unquote Baker Mayfield treatment, according to Rich Eisen, is how he's been told when he signed that one-year deal for $10 million, that, hey, the rookie's just going to develop behind you. You ball out and then use the Vikings basically as a transfer portal, then go play for some other team. So Baker Mayfield, Panthers, Rams, all over the place, gets to the Bucks, takes the one-year chance, and ultimately signs a juicy long-term deal. So there might be a chance for Sam Darnold to do very well. Justin Jefferson just became the highest-paid non-quarterback in history. That might be important for my dad's Dallas Cowboys. Maybe they will be paying someone soon. And they have Aaron Jones. Remember, they stole him from the Green Bay Packers. The wide receiving core is pretty interesting. Justin Jefferson's good. Jordan Addison was a pretty good rookie last year. We'll see how early TJ Hawkinson is ready. It sounds like he could miss some time at the beginning of the season, which, of course, could creep into this time against the New York Jets early in the season. So that's just kind of a general overview so far of this Vikings team that's not projected to be very good.
Did you leave any meat on the bone? You kind of just jumped out there and babbled and took everything. Anyways, so let's talk about the Vikings.
Sure.
So everybody think back to the days you were in high school. Some of you it'll take longer to think back than others. The Minnesota Vikings. I'm gonna preface this by saying they are the stupidest franchise in the NFL, and it actually gave the Jets a margin. But I would say they put like a sports package on a Chevelle, a Pinto, a Geo Metro, if you will. Pick a car, the crappiest car you can think of, and they put a spoiler on it. They put shiny, hubcaps on it, right? They just think about this. They spent, wrap your mind right. You ready for this? They spent approximately 65% of one complete NFL year's salary. 65% of 1 year. So 65% of 2024 salary is what they're paying Justin Jefferson. That is dumb. That is dumb. The average salary, so that obviously is his full contract, not just one. The average salary for a quarterback of note is going to run from $40 to $50 million. And now you're paying your wide receiver 30 to 40, whatever $1 million a year. It's insane. And it's even more insane. So if you were a team that was on the cusp, right, and the Vikings aren't, if you were, then maybe it makes sense for the long term. But you just said it. You got Sam Darnold and then some rookie that may work, may not work out. Right, the Vikings were in the market for a Justin Jefferson, hopefully in 3 years. Right now, it's a waste of they could have used him to get draft capital. Long story short, the Vikings suck. They are the 5th team in the Jets. When people complained about the schedule, that you should be embarrassed, right? You get the Patriots, the Broncos, and the Vikings out of 3 or 5 first games. Are you kidding me? And if you lose to any of those, so anyways, landslide. The Vikings are a train wreck. If they kept Kirk Cousins, this would be a completely different story in my eyes. But they're restarting from scratch, and then they signed Justin Jefferson. Just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, an agent spoke with ESPN. So quarterbacks account for good quarterbacks. This is an average more so than law on every team. That a good quarterback costs you about 20% of your cap. That's kind of the number that a good quarterback will in today's NFL. And Justin Jefferson, in essence, according to this agent, represents with this new contract about 13% of the cap with this number. And that's the number that big wide receivers will. We saw a lot of wide receivers get paid this offseason. I wrote an article about it on Heavy on Jets. We have out of the top 5, I think 4 of the top 5 are all new entrants because you have obviously Justin Jefferson, You have A.J. Brown. You have Jalen Waddle's there. Tyreek Hill has not gotten a new deal, but he wants one. Nico Collins got paid. There's just a Jalen Waddle. Who's the other? Devonta Smith. That's the other Eagles guy. So a lot of guys got paid. That'll be interesting. Plus, this might be the first real game here as you look at the Jets schedule. I wouldn't say the first real game, maybe the second, where Sauce is traveling. They said that is something they're going to factor into their plans. Justin Jefferson is a guy that you would want to travel with, and Sauce put him on mano-a-mano, the best guy, and see if they'll do it. The coaching staff and Sauce himself said that he would like to travel more, and this would be a great opportunity across the pond, that kind of matchup at 9:30 in the morning Eastern time. So you can't beat it. That'll be pretty interesting there from that perspective if we do get that on that other side of it. And also, I forgot about this. I did not know that our former Jet went over there, but Blake Cashman is now a part of the Minnesota Vikings roster. I have all the depth charts for all the teams the Jets are playing in these games that we're discussing on here. So shout out to Blake Cashman, who went to Minnesota, the college, and now he's playing for the Minnesota Vikings. They also have Jonathan Grenard, who's that nasty pass rusher from the Houston Texans. And they paid him a crazy bag this offseason as one of the highest paid pass rushers in football. So there's a couple of defenders. Jerry Tillery, you remember him, that former Notre Dame Golden Domer. Harrison Smith, another former Golden Domer on this defense. They still got some remnants of their new age version, the new age outlaws, the new age purple people eaters that they have on that side of the ball. So, but it should be, I would imagine, a relatively simple task for the Jets, especially if you get Sauce on Justin Jefferson. It doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of other meat on that bone.
That's right. And Sam Darnold's throwing to him. So, but yeah.
Hey,
so the
nice.
good news here, the best news about this game is it's in the morning. And so that means you'll have plenty of time to take Zariah Luna trick-or-treating that day, as it is Halloween.
No. Halloween's on Houston. This
one.
Yeah.
I had a twist in my head. Yeah, 5 weeks.
Yeah. This one's early.
Anyways.
This one's October 6th.
Yeah, yes, I think we definitely. And by the way, I think Jets FL, right? I said a good team, right? The Vikings are far short of a good team. So they who are on the cusp, right? Though that's not the Vikings. They should not spend. It's actually around 14% of their salary cap on a wide receiver. That by the time you're wondering if you should keep them around is about the time that you're going to be turning the franchise in the positive direction. So they're declining right now, and so yeah, definitely should be an easy win. And if not, right, it would be a foretelling if we don't walk out. And I said we for whoever doesn't like me saying that. If we don't walk out 4-1 out of the first 5 games, we should probably just give Hackett the hatchet.
I see. Hey, a quick follow-up question here. So again, for those who don't know, when a team is scheduled or handed a foreign game, London, we have Brazil, although that's a unique example since that's week 1 this year. But normally, if you're handed a foreign game, that it happens in a certain period where you're allowed to take your bye week immediately after. The NFL comes to you and says, hey, you're getting the London game, you're getting the Germany game, you're getting this. They're like, okay. They're like, do you want your bye after? And teams could say yes, and okay, the Jets played here, again, the Vikings in week 5. All right, you get your bye in week 6. If the team says no, I'm good, they don't get to pick where their bye is. The NFL just goes, okay, we'll put it somewhere else. So in this particular case, I'm curious, the Jets decided against taking the bye early, and it ends up going to week 12. The Jets do get a slight benefit here because their next opponent, this is a big one, is at home on Monday Night Football. So get an extra day of rest. I asked Charlotte Carey, the NFL's director of broadcasting, if that was on purpose to kind of help a team out that's coming over from London. You're like, we could slap them there, and that gives the Jets an extra day because they're coming back from London. She said, no, that's random circumstance, so enjoy it, you lucky bastards, basically. We didn't schedule that in. I'm curious, what do you make of the Jets' decision to not take the bye, and now they have an incredibly difficult opponent coming off of it, coming off of London?
Yeah, so I think it was a mistake because, again, you don't know, right? And if anyone, I travel a lot. As a matter of fact, we talk about Minnesota. I just left Minnesota for work. So I don't recommend it at this time of year. The mosquitoes are the size of birds. But I would say it's going to be a mistake, right? I was alluding to the time change, right? So
Sure.
I've gone back and forth, and I'll tell you, an hour time change will throw your business off for several days. I don't have it exactly, but it's about 5 hours different for London ballpark.
Okay.
And so that is huge. So you play on plus the flight, it's a long flight, even with your own, special chartered jet. So it's a long
Mm.
flight with a, significantly long flight, 5 hour time difference. It's not good. And essentially working the week before, working the week after. And they pulled the Bills, one of the top 4 teams on their schedule for toughness. I'd probably put them at 4. So yeah, I think it was a huge mistake. You need that rest, you need that reset, and I think it was a mistake. And then this sets them up from going from 4-1 to 4-2.
Yeah, that's
And
definitely in the top 5. When you look at the hardest games on the schedule, at San Francisco is wicked difficult. The short week against the Houston Texans is difficult. At Miami would be on there. The Rams game would be on there as a playoff team. The Bills, they'd certainly be in that conversation. There's no doubt about it. So that is happening. Again, the Jets did not take their bye. They are playing the Buffalo Bills. They're next up on the chopping block here. Again, this is a great game. Me and Woody were looking at a game to go to, a home game somewhere in here. We're discussing options, and the 3 options we discussed were Jets Patriots home opener Thursday Night Football. That'd be a lot of fun. Jets Bills Monday Night Football primetime game. That could be good. And then Jets Broncos, which is kind of a 1 o'clock sandwich game. Like, okay, here we go. Which again we had already discussed previously. So we'll see which one we ultimately end up on here. But this Buffalo Bills roster is a lot different than the one the Jets played last year. Like their entire defense, a bomb went in there. Their safety group is completely different. Gone is Jordan Poyer. Gone is Micah Hyde. I've heard rumors that Von Miller could get cut. He's not even listed as a starter on their 2 deep here on their depth chart. There's just a lot more questions than answers on the defensive side of the ball. Now, there's individual really talented players. Ed Oliver, Matt Milano, Russell Douglas showed some pop last year too. And you got some younger guys like Greg Rousseau and AJ Epinesa. But the defense has a lot of questions. And quite frankly, the offense, which was one of only a very few amount of teams last year that had continuity on the offensive line, blew it up. They lost Mitch Morse, their veteran center, and now they're sliding their guard. I believe that's a former Dallas Cowboy, and Connor McGovern, throwing him over at the center position. And then, of course, their wide receivers. There's no Stephon Diggs. Here's their wide receivers. Here are their starters. Keon Coleman, rookie. Curtis Samuel, gadget guy. And Khalil Shakir, who was a day 3 pick in the draft. So there was, again, just a lot more questions than answers. So this Bills team is not your grandpa's Bills team.
Yeah, it'd be completely different. It's it's the opposite situation for Minnesota, right? You could pick 4, you could go on the streets of Buffalo right now and ask this person if they're their senator from the state of New York, or is it a Buffalo Saber, or is it Johnny the trash collector? No, it's your starting wide receivers for the Buffalo Bills. So that'll be interesting how, and this would have been a game that would have been good for the Jets to get right out of the gate and have their defense eat them alive. I think by this time, Josh Allen's going to know what he has to work with. So this is going to be an interesting one. I couple that with the terrible decision not to take the bye week right after London. So this will be interesting. Hard to predict right now where he gels if they do anything else with the wide receiver room. So this is going to be a good one, especially on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, again, it's a re-rack. Obviously, the Jets opened the season last year, week 1, Monday Night Football against the Buffalo Bills, and everything that happened. And from hearing Troy Aikman and Joe Buck, who are obviously the Monday Night Football broadcast team, talk about it, they wanted this one ran back at some point to get their Monday Night Football. We have a Bills fan here in the chat, Silas. Buffalo will go 12-5. And again, when I look at this, so for Bills fans here, a quick nugget. You have Josh Allen, so when you have a quarterback, you're in any conversation. So high tide will rise all boats. When the Chiefs got rid of Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes is still really good, and he figured it out with the receivers they have. Keon Coleman, he's an unknown. He's a talented guy, a rookie coming in, a second rounder, but what does he end up being? Can he rise these? But does Dalton Kincaid come to another level? He's a really good pass catching tight end. Is he getting Dawson Knox, who's another really good tight end? I'll be kind of curious. Like I said, I think the biggest loss for the Buffalo Bills is Mitch Morse. That's the one not enough people are talking about. You've got a couple of Deion Dawkins, I think, is a really good player. Who a lot of Jet fans hate for all his hoopla that he's said. But, and then you have, I'm looking at the rest of the offensive line. I just kind of have a few questions there. And then, like I said, the defense is interesting, and you still have Sean McDermott, who was the play caller last year. So I'll be kind of curious. And Matt Milano, does he come back fully healthy? He had a nasty injury last year, and I'm pretty sure, speaking of London, that happened over in London. So we'll see what happens. Here's the biggest thing I'll just say for the Buffalo Bills is you lost a lot of big names, and nationally, a lot of people are saying things about Buffalo, like, boy, they lost Tre'Davious White, this guy. But Tre'Davious White hasn't been playing much recently. The risk for the Bills is you're losing a lot of leadership. That's a big thing. Offensively, Mitch Morse, and also defensively with Poyer and Micah Hyde and Tre'Davious White, for that matter. And can the young guys that you're replacing these older guys with learn very quickly? If they can, the Buffalo Bills might be 12-5. If they can't, then, oh boy, the Buffalo Bills are going to be in a different position. If they can, the young, cheaper talent replace the older, expensive veterans that used to hold their stead. That, to me, will be, the big question, Silas, but I appreciate the other fan bases jumping in here for these conversations. So, again, we'll see. Buffalo is the champ until they're not. They've won the division 4 straight times. So if anyone asks me for current AFC East standings, the Buffalo Bills are the I'm a Ric Flair guy. To be the champ, you got to beat the champ. Woo! You get it. So we will see if that indeed happens, and I will be kind of curious to see how that translates. Anywho,
just before we leave
ahead.
the Buffalo Bills, I'll just share with you, right? The last time that we met them, they curb stomped us, including clubbing our defense like a baby seal. It may have been the worst showing by our defense all of last year. And the names of the receivers we don't know, the guy that smoked us for a 38 yards reception average is still their starting wide receiver. So let's not throw out the baby with the bathwater. We're talking about how depleted their roster is. But, right, they have lost more pieces. I don't think Stephon Diggs even played in the game, frankly, when they beat us 32-6.
Yeah, he did, but the Jets probably just didn't see him. The other thing I throw out, and as we throw out interesting things depending on things, we had Zach Wilson, and Zach Wilson has beaten the Bills in 2 of the last 4 years. So we played him 4 times. Zach Wilson and the Jets beat him twice. Both of those obviously happening at MetLife Stadium. So how much can we throw away with a quarterback like Zach Wilson, which, by the way, beat the Bills twice? I'll be kind of curious. That upgrade at quarterback is the most significant quarterback upgrade of any team in the NFL. The Jets are going from 32 to, let's even comfortably, conservatively call it 16. I mean, it's going to be a dramatic increase, and it looks like the defense is going to be trying to make history. Rich Cimini wrote a good column about this week. The Jets have been a top 5 defense the last 2 years. The only other time in Jets franchise history they've been a top 5 defense 3 years in a row was the Rex Ryan era. 2009, 2010, 2011. They were a top 5 defense in 3 straight years. So the Jets will be trying to make some history, which is very hard, with the rise and fall of things happening. Even if you're, they have a lot of the same starters outside of a few handful of swaps on that defensive side of the ball. I'll be kind of curious to see if they can maintain that, because if they can, and then you have the quarterback increase, the Jets should be a pretty good football team next year. But we'll see. That'll be a crazy game there against the Buffalo Bills, which, by the way, I forgot to do all their projections. They're projected to be obviously very good. 10-7 is the Buffalo Bills win-loss projection, which, by the way, is, let me count, 1, 2, 3. So, okay, 3 teams have better projections in terms of win-losses. That's the 49ers, Chiefs, and Lions. And then the Bills are tied with a bunch of teams like the Cowboys, Ravens, and Eagles, and Bengals, and Packers as other 10-7 teams. Yeah. That's the 10-7 analytical group projection is Packers, Bengals, Bills, Eagles, Ravens, Cowboys. And then there's a top 3 above them. That's Lions, Chiefs, 49ers for win-loss projection next year. Okay, so let us go on to the next opponent for the New York Jets. So after that Monday Night Football trip on Monday, October 14th, it's another primetime game at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, this is sneaky because Pittsburgh and not Heinz Field anymore. It's Acrisure, which I really wish they'd go back to Heinz Field on that one, but that's neither here nor there. That's a kind of a tricky one because Pittsburgh can be an incredibly difficult place to play for the New York Jets, but their quarterback situation is really the telltale for how you feel. Because it sounds like from all the Steelers insiders like Jerry Dulac that Russell Wilson, it's his job to lose, and Justin Fields is going to be a bench guy, maybe with some, slash, some Cordell, type packages potentially in there. That's the thing that we'll have to see. But it's kind of a tricky game on the surface. You're like, okay, this is a team that wins a lot. Mike Tomlin, they've never had a losing record, but the quarterback situation is kind of a mess.
Yeah, I don't actually. You kind of got to my point right away. I think that Justin Fields, if he embraces right, he's going to be a phenomenal Cordell Stewart type player. By the way, there is a story out there that when Cordell Stewart stalked me one Mardi Gras, but that's a different story. But yeah, that's true. I actually said, "Are you stalking me?" To Cordell Stewart in New Orleans one time. But anyways, so
we tell that we have to tell that story. You can't just leave it. Slash was following you at Mardi Gras. Tell.
So we're at Mardi Gras.
All right.
We're at the shout out to the original Tropical Isle. There's a series of bars down in New Orleans that have they make the most powerful hand drink in New Orleans, the hand grenade.
Yes.
And so we're there at that bar, and very popular bar. If you've never been to Mardi Gras, it's hard to describe how many people are there. Okay. So I was actually with your uncle, and we're sitting there having a hand grenade, probably about the middle of the afternoon. And right next to me is Cordell Stewart with a couple members of his crew. And
the Steelers you're talking about?
No, this is long. This is well after his playing time.
Okay. Right.
And he's from that New Orleans area, so he went home. So, anyways, shortly after that, we're there, and then the funny part of the story is this place is like a 4 foot tall bouncer, and it may have been 4.5 feet, but So, anyways, this guy that comes in that looked like he had just stepped, he was the Michael Orr, doesn't have an ID or whatever. And he tries to, and the guy goes, "I need your ID." And the guy goes past him like, okay, like he didn't see him because the guy's like 7 feet tall, and this other guy's like, and the next thing you see is this guy, like a rabbit squirrel, jumps on this guy and takes him down and drags him out in the street. This little 4 foot. It was, and so I think I have a picture somewhere. And if I knew I was going to tell a story, I would have found it of Cordell Stewart with his mouth hanging open as he's watching this little rabbit squirrel beat the crap out of the guy.
Wait, quick detour here. So Cordell Stewart sitting next to you, you knew immediately. You're like, "Holy shit, that's Cordell Stewart" in your head. Like you knew immediately that was
Cordell Stewart. Oh,
okay, interesting. All right, okay.
And so anyways, this fight breaks out, and then the next thing you know, he gets up and leaves. And so we're that night we go to dinner, and he saw me. We kind of gave each other the head nod. I didn't do anything odd or weird.
Like
I did take
the head nod that you knew who he was,
and
but
where was the acknowledgement,
Okay, yeah, guys do that. Yep, I got you.
And so later on that night, we had a whole bunch of people, as we normally do, and we go to this restaurant in New Orleans called Landry's, and we got a table of probably like 16 people.
Wow.
And and so it's like the main table in this section of the restaurant, and then over to the side is Cordell Stewart with the same people and a couple girls. I don't know if they're wives or not. I didn't do any testing. And he's over the side, and he looks over at me, kind of looks like surprised, and I'm like, "Are you stalking me?" And then,
you say that out loud to him?
Oh yeah.
And then what did he say?
I'm like, "This is a little awkward. It appears like you're stalking me." And so he just laughed and gave me a head nod, and then that was the encounter. But
whoa, okay, that is. I've not seen Slash in a long time, so wow, that's a good call by you though, because I don't. I mean, I don't know where it ranks because we had this debate on the radio show a bunch of years ago about how recognizable are NFL players. And I think I have this elitist mentality being this massive NFL fan that like everyone recognizes everybody basically. But we ultimately doped it out that that's not really true. But like to recognize Slash, you're saying this is after his playing career. This is probably significantly after his playing career.
Yeah, hold on. I could probably come up with approximately, I would say it was maybe 2011.
Okay. And when did Slash finish up? 2006 or something?
Yeah,
Or was
something
it
like that. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, it was like so. It was like the Mardi Gras for 2011. I could. I'm pretty sure that's right around where it was.
Okay, yeah, it was right around where I thought his career ended. It was 2005 was where his career ended. Okay,
So it's 5
interesting.
or
Oh yeah,
6 years after. And
yeah,
then
that's pretty
actually, I
fresh.
one of the things that I do know is he was
Yeah.
actually a morning radio show host in Hotlanta for a couple
Wow.
years. He's not. He might still be down there, but he's not. Yeah, actually, Cordell Stewart's outside my window right now.
Yeah.
It's a
What
little
the hell?
weird. Could you back up?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah. See.
I'm doing a show here, but anyways, he did morning radio when I was living in. I think it was in the 2013 2014, and he did it for a number of years down there. But
Did you call him on the radio and say, "Seriously, this is getting uncomfortable"?
yeah, I was
You
like,
know.
"What are you doing? Like, come on."
That would have been funny. But I think you're right, though. And we'll see if he embraces it. You mentioned that Justin Fields, if he embraces the slash role, and if for the younger members of our audience don't know what that means, Google it, give it a YouTube search on the
Yeah,
slash packages that used to exist. I'll be curious at Justin Fields because he was almost, I don't want to say insulted because, like, I don't know Justin Fields, but like there was a rumor that floated out there because the backup running back, Jalen Warren, said, maybe Justin Fields could return kicks with all these new kickoff rules. And it went viral, like, oh my God, maybe Justin Fields is legitimately going to return kickoffs. And went, I'm not doing that. And I'm curious, like, because he was joking around, but I wonder in the same way, hey, do you want to do a slash package former first round pick quarterback? That could be taken as insulting, saying, no, man, I'm a straight up quarterback. That's what I am. I'm not a gimmicky guy. I'm not coming in for a package. I'm competing for QB1, which is what he's doing and what everyone's reporting that he's doing, but he's not expected to win the job. I'd be curious if he does embrace that role because that might be a big culture shift or an identity thing, as you know, because that's where I think where a lot of veterans struggled. That's where Joe Flacco struggled a little with the Jets, is he thought he was, I'm still Super Bowl MVP, but like age and everything, you have to eventually realize, oh wow, I'm a backup quarterback now. So like a lot of people struggle with that transition.
yeah,
You know, they're
yeah.
doing
Justin
things.
Fields needs to get over himself, right? There's a lot of first round picks. Ryan Leaf, DeMarcus Russell, right? Get over
Sure.
yourself. You get on the field. I would tell you now, Justin Fields needs to embrace this Cordell Stewart like thing. Cordell Stewart, you go back and look at his stats. I have not looked at it, I would tell you, but
Okay.
he is, I would tell you that he produced some solid things in all facets. I would tell you he probably threw for, I'm just off the top of my head, 15,000
Yep.
yards in NFL, which is not a joke. That's just a blind guess. And I'll tell you that
Wow, that's
Justin
pretty good.
Fields,
He's 14,746.
boom, write that shit down. Anyways, but I would tell you, Justin Fields' an opportunity to be the better version of Tyson Hill, right? His
Taysom
speed,
Hill, yeah.
yeah, Taysom, yeah, whatever, however you spell it. You can't spell it like a real person, but yeah, what his speed, what he could bring to the table. I mean, you think about the Saints, Taysom Hill, that people know that that goofy bastard's going to get the ball in some weird way, and he still is able to do his weird, kind of fast, kind of fullbacky, kind of weird way that he plays. And you think about someone with the athletic talent, and I'm not saying that he doesn't have it, but that Justin Fields brings to the table, that's a weapon.
And there's legitimate packages here. So I'm in Cordell Stewart's stats now, pretty elbow deep. And he averaged in his heyday with Pittsburgh like 400 rushing yards a season. He had an 11 touchdown season in 97, but he had consistently, like in between. He had a couple of 7 touchdown pops, 5 touchdown pops. It probably averaged out to like 3-4 touchdowns a season, maybe a little north of that. And man, there's some solid numbers here for what he is and what he's contributing. Yeah,
Yeah, this will be a tough game for the Jets. I think Russell Wilson, uh, you know, will be a reasonably solid starter. They've got the good running back. they have a very, they're in that talk in the Jets orbital for defense and
Yeah.
are projected to be. So I think they're projected to be in the top 10 in defense. So this will be a solid game for the Jets again to put another check mark of where there are the great measuring stick of where they're at.
Yeah, I love their running backs. Najee Harris is there. Jalen Warren's a super underrated guy. And, of course, Arthur Smith. He's going to have Cordero Patterson in the mix. I also have former Jet LaMichael Pirine on the team. There's a little trivia question for you guys. And they've rebuilt their offensive line. A guy you got a lot of heat for mocking to the Jets. Zach Frazier is their new starting center that they got in the draft, which a lot of people gave them a lot of credit for. They have Broderick Jones, who was the first-round right tackle. Troy Fontenot, who a lot of Jet fans wanted. He's their left tackle. So they've completely rebuilt their offensive line in the last 2 years, so it looks a lot different. The running back's pretty good. There's George Pickens, who's a basket case, but the rest of the wide receivers kind of lack something. Roman Wilson's interesting. He's a rookie, but Van Jefferson, he hasn't done a lot in the league, so the wide receiving core is lackluster there for Pittsburgh. Their tight end's pretty good when he's healthy. Pat Freiermuth. They also have Darnell Washington, the former Georgia product. But to your point, the defense has some bodies. Iron Cameron Hayward, Iron Mike's son, Larry Ogunjobi, who was the pass rusher the Jets were keying on. TJ Watt, obviously, has been a defensive player of the year candidate for many years and has led the league in sacks several times. And their big addition this offseason was Patrick Queen coming over from Baltimore. He's a freak. Minka Fitzpatrick is really good. Joey Porter Jr. had some flashes last year as a rookie. So, yeah, the defense is really, really solid. And then the offense has a lot of pieces. And people trash Russell Wilson, but he had a 26 touchdown to 8 interception ratio last year. That was pretty good, all things considered. And we'll see how the pairing is with Arthur Smith. But yeah, it is one of those kind of sneaky games there in Pittsburgh on the schedule for the Jets.
Yeah, I think Sean Payton thought that, Russell Wilson was his second coming of Drew Brees. And I don't know Russell Wilson, but Drew Brees is a special player, willing to put the team first. And Russell Wilson he's different. But I would tell you that Zach Frazier, All-American wrestler, is going to give that Jets defensive line. It's going to be good. That'd be a matchup I'd love to watch all day long. And
before we move on, I'll just give the analytical projection. The Steelers are projected to have their first losing season under Mike Tomlin, just barely at 8-9 on the win-loss projection from ESPN, and their Super Bowl chances are 1.9% chance of making, just a 0.5% chance of actually winning it. So we'll see if that is indeed the case. But Mike Tomlin, every year that he's been the head coach, have had a winning team, which is obviously wicked impressive. But he doesn't normally get the love and respect from Steelers fans who try to replace him seemingly on a year-to-year basis. That is, again, Sunday Night Football for the New York Jets in Week 7. I love the Sunday Night Football is one of my favorite broadcasts. They just do a really good job of the presentation, which I'm really excited about. And we got New England again, Pop. We talked about them earlier in the first month, and we have them again, this one in New England. That is Sunday, October 27th. The Jets don't have a lot of these this season, but a nice little juicy 1 o'clock game on the road against the Patriots.
1.9%, by the way. So you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah, that's it, right? Yeah, let me make
Samsonite,
sure I have that.
I was way off. But anyways.
Yep, 1.9%.
So, yeah. So I don't really have anything new to say in the past week that I've matriculated on the Patriots. It's again, you look at that in the first 8 games, the Jets play 3 to 4 games with the worst freaking teams in the league. And people are, they got screwed on the schedule. Are you kidding me? The first 8 weeks you play the New England Patriots, right? Twice. Yep. Twice. You throw Buffalo in. I mean, this is a ridiculously easy beginning of the schedule. It's just another win. So we have a couple, the Pittsburgh games, some of these other games mixed in, but
yeah,
they should come
Minnesota,
out.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there's a
path
trying.
To start really hot. Right. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. First 8 games, you're not, 6-2 or 7-1. Because the rest is coming. We're about to talk about a different game. We're about to talk about my stone cold lock, toughest game. Take 49ers and tell them to pack a lunch. Tell Christian, whatever, CM Sally. The next game we're about to talk about is the toughest game on the Jets schedule. It's a scary one, so it's appropriately scheduled on that day of Halloween.
Yeah, I will say through that first 8 weeks, if you look at this, if the Jets aren't at least 6-2, something happened. And the 6-2 is that's if you give the head nod, okay, you lose to at San Francisco and you lose at home to Buffalo. The other ones of Tennessee, Patriots twice, Denver, Minnesota, Pittsburgh. I mean, I don't know. If you're not 6-2, I just think that something
It
horribly
doesn't bode
wrong
well.
happened.
That's right.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's the best way to say it. And New England, by the way, I'm sure you guys are curious. Let me scroll down here. Scroll down more. So they have a 0% chance of making the Super Bowl, and thus a 0% chance of winning it. They are projected to finish 5-12, which is tied for the worst projection win-loss in football with the Carolina Panthers. So 5-12 for New England. Sorry to any of the Patriot fans maybe tuning in. Hey, just got to call it how we see it. But let's get to the final game of the month of October. We had to do this at some point. We've been kind of doing a 4-pack here with 17 games. Eventually, we had to open up for a 5-pack, another cold one, another brewski. Not Teddy Brewski. Sorry, Patriot fans. I bet you guys wish you still had him. But the final one here to wrap up the month of October is a Halloween Thursday night affair. And I'll just say this for all the people that complain about the Jets schedule, and there was a lot of people out there that did. They have 2 Thursday night games, which is a recent rule change over the last calendar 12 months. That teams are now allowed to have multiple Thursday night football games in a season, and obviously the Jets do have that on the schedule. The thing I would just say, though, is both of the games are at home, so the schedule makers could have really screwed you when you think about it. A game on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So you have 3 days of action to happen before you actually get to the game. When you're on the road, you have to factor in a travel day and everything else. The Jets don't have to factor that in at all. So that is a massive help, I would say, for the Texans. Real quick, I'll give you their analytics, and they are a team that people think are going to be very good. They have a 10-7 win-loss projection, which, like I said, is tied there with the teams like the Bills and the Cowboys and others. People think they're going to be pretty good. They're the ones who got Stephon Diggs this offseason. We could go through the full gambit here in just a moment, but this Texans team is really good. It sounds like that's where you were kind of leaned at, is why this might be one of the toughest games on the schedule.
Yeah, I would tell you that the talent they have in the wide receiver or the receiving is probably the highest of anyone in the league. And some of
Here
it's
they
sneaky.
are.
You got Robert Woods as a
Right.
backup. As a
Mhm.
backup. He's had 2 over 1,000-yard receivings twice, and he doesn't even crack the starting lineup. Right?
Nope.
They got Tank Dell, Nico Collins, Stephen Diggs, and then they have
Yep.
Dalton Schultz, right?
Yeah, tight end. Yep.
Who's a phenomenal tight end, a Pro Bowl tight end. This, and then CJ Stroud throwing the ball. This is a problem.
And they
This
traded for
is
Joe Mixon, who they extended immediately. That's their new running back. Yeah.
right. So this is going to be Houston. Yet no joke. Houston, we have a problem that we have to play Houston. And so this is going to be the real, roll into this game 6-2, 7-1. This game is going to project the second half of the season where the Jets are going. And really, I think it's the toughest game of the year.
Yeah, I think the Jets have a lot of confidence going into this game because, again, we go back to those Zach Wilson games. The Jets punched the Texans in the face and blew them out 30-0 and smacked CJ Stroud around. And the extra layer to this is all the 49ers connections. Obviously, the head coach of the Houston Texans is DeMeco Ryans. And it was a big factor heading into this game last year of like, oh boy, DeMeco Ryans knows the defense. He was a 49ers defense coordinator. Saleh obviously knew the defense because it's his. He was a former 49ers defense coordinator. So while CJ Stroud, in theory, should have the blueprint to how to beat the Jets defense because he has a guy that taught it, there in San Francisco, and that didn't matter. The Jets were able to shut him down. Now, they had some injuries in the middle of the game that it could have affected it, obviously. But, the Jets, I imagine, will be heading into this game with a lot of confidence, first off, because of how we broke it down and what their record should be. But it's at home. They smacked him around last time. They got a massive upgrade at quarterback, but this team is obviously incredibly talented. And then on defense, they've got a lot of former Jets like Foley Fatukasi. They gave the bag to Daniil Hunter, one of the nastiest pass rushers in the NFL. Will Anderson was the defensive rookie of the year last year. Aziz Al-Shaair was phenomenal for Tennessee. He comes over. Another former Jet, Neville Hewitt. We got Derek Stingley on this team. Jalen Petrie, Jeff Okudah, who they bring over, the former number 3 overall pick. The defense's talent, the offense's talent, they're going all in, and this is what you're supposed to do when you have a guy who's on a rookie contract, so you can surround him with other talent. That's why they made the aggressive move to land Stephon Diggs. Yeah, this is going to be a game for the New York Jets, but what I think they're going to have a lot of confidence going into based on recent history and, quite frankly, what the record should be heading into it.
It's interesting. Your level of optimism has always been one of your strongest suits.
Thanks.
You glaze over when the Jets get their behinds whooped, and you throw up on the billboard with flashing lights when they do the same to another team. So it's very interesting. I just wanted to.
But they beat the Bills too. So, like, you bring up Buffalo, that blew us out, but we beat them week 1.
You beat them on week 1 in some weird Anyways, it doesn't matter. But we digress. But I think this is going to be this is a must-watch game on the schedule. Everyone's going to be tuned in. It's going to be, it should be a phenomenal game.
So I told you that me and Woody are like, what Jets game should we go to? Well, one that's not even on the list. Tatiana, my fiance, made it very clear that is not an option. Is Jets Texans? It sounds sexy and all that, but Halloween, kids trick or treating, all that, her holiday. So unfortunately, I will not be at that game. That is not among the choices, not among the options at the buffet. It's like, what am I putting on the plate here? That one is not one apparently that could be put on the plate. It's off the menu. Yeah.
I see. Does she let you wear pants to work? Is my only question. Is that on the table, or does she make you go in a little skirt?
I'll ask her and get back to you.
Okay, just checking. Hey, yeah. Can I take my wabos to work today, or do I have to leave them in the closet? That was the most polite way I could think of the word that I was going to say.
I appreciate that. That was very creative of you. Which 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that finishes it up. In terms of, we will have 2 more shows of the previews, which are 8 games. We'll have 2 more 4-packs, and then we could do a full Jet schedule prediction. Which, by the way, let me take a gander at the calendar. So that'll be 15th, 22nd, 29th. That'll take us through the rest of the month of June, and all of a sudden we'll be in July, Dad, and training camp will be right around the corner, and that's after we finish our schedule. So we'll be in a prime position for everything else that's coming. Plus, we do have OTAs are over for the Jets. Next week, we do have a week of mandatory minicamp, which is the final leg of the Jets offseason before the month off until we get to training camp. So we'll have some more content there for the Boy Green Daily morning show outside of these Hop on Pop weekly visits. So that should be a lot of fun. All right, Dad, are we calling shop or open up the phone lines? What are we doing here?
Yeah, so I think we're going to hold off on the story. So next week, I think we're going to tell a story.
The story. Right,
we're going to tell a story next week about your brother, because your brother will be with me, and we're going to do our show next Sunday morning. And your brother, we're going to tell the Hasta La Vista story next Sunday morning.
Oh my goodness! With him in attendance. Okay, that sounds like a doozy. That sounds like a time.
So we'll hold off on the story. We'll just go to the phone lines.
Okay. All right. Great. All right. I will open up the phone lines, everybody. If you'd like to call in and interact on the show, youtube.com/boygreen25. I'm literally putting in that in the YouTube comment section right now for you guys to be able to join. Good episode, and people have been really enjoying our breakdown of the schedule. So thank you, everybody. The free way you can contribute is by liking the video and hitting subscribe. That's a free way everyone can contribute on the show. But if you want to go the extra mile and support in a different way, there is a money sign on the left side of the screen that you're watching. That is the Boy Green Superfan Club. Feel free to join for a small fee every month. You can help support the show. Or, of course, you could go down to the Boy Green shop, which is in the YouTube bio description down below, and pick up some coffee mugs, perhaps shirts, hats, you name it, you got it. Feel free to do so.
In the future, it may get you a priority in the call-in if you're wearing Boy Green gear or have a coffee cup in your hand when you call in.
Yep,
my personal chef has said we have time for some callers. I don't know if you see that. She's my personal chef is cooking some breakfast there. So my lovely wife.
Okay, great. That's wonderful, wonderful. I'm so happy for that. So that is now pinned on the YouTube comment section. So again, if you're watching on any of the other features, and we appreciate it, the Heavy on Jets or Twitter, we got a couple hundred people in the room. We appreciate you guys, but you do have to hop over to youtube.com/boygreen25 pinned comment. Just be in a relatively quiet space, and we'll bring you on the show. All right, we'll start it off immediately with NY
no.
Jets.
Oh, there you go.
Morning, fellas. How are you?
Excellent.
Excellent.
I was working out during the stream, so I appreciate keeping me focused as I try to take my 58-year-old body through a workout still. Oh God.
That's what Mike Tyson's going through later this year. I saw that. I got rescheduled. Mike Tyson's 58-year-old body, which will be at that time. Jake Paul. It is November 15th, AT&T Stadium, in my dad's neck of the woods there for the Dallas Cowboys. That's right. We'll see how Tyson's doing.
I got a quick New Orleans story. So
Ooh, great.
we were in New Orleans. We drove from Florida to New Orleans. We were actually dodging a hurricane, right? So
Wow,
we
Jesus.
decided to drive to New Orleans. Went to a museum. It might have been like a veterans museum or some kind of historical museum there.
World War II museum. It's the best museum, one of the best museums in the country.
Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing. So we go there, and there's like 3 levels of parking. So we pay for our parking, but little did I know, the top level is like the ultra mega parking spot, which I didn't pay for, but I parked there. We get out of the museum. I have a boot on my van. My van is booted. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? And they said, you need to call a truck to get the boot off, call the city or whatever. So instead of, I think they gave me half off or something like that. So I think they get you like that, instead of just having, a general parking and, whatever you want to call the upgrade, they have like another tier, which we were like, we have no idea, So that was one of our funniest New Orleans memories. And the Muffaletta.
Wow.
And the Muffaletta, which was great. If you ever never had one of those. So
I have not. I've not been to New Orleans yet. I've not been there to Mardi Gras or any of that action. It's on the list. It's on the list. If that was on my dad's list, he's checked it off 4,000 times, give or take. A spot or two. He's been to Mardi Gras a lot. It's his second home. Yeah.
Let me say this about the NFL in general.
Okay.
A lot of teams don't come back and make the playoffs again the year before. There's such a high number of teams that don't make it.
A lot of turnover.
Yeah, exactly. If you go look at the Texans schedule, they had a last place schedule last year.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the Texans schedule this year, look at their last 5 games. It's like,
let me pull it up, because remember, they won the division. They won it the last week, right, against the Colts. So let me see. Okay, let's see. Okay, you said the last 4 is what you want us to look at? Yeah, let me
look at
put it up on the screen.
Yeah, look at the non-divisional games. I mean, they're just, except for Indy, Jacksonville, and look at the other games they have to play. Green Bay, Kansas City, Baltimore. I mean, it's brutal.
I mean, yeah, let's put this up on the screen. Good Lord have mercy. Oh, wow. Look at that run of home for Miami, at Kansas City, home for Baltimore. Good Lord. 3 of the final 4, and then at Tennessee to finish it off. You got a Dallas Cowboys road trip in there. Oh, damn. Yeah, this schedule, Buffalo on the schedule. Wow, this schedule isn't playing around. Packers,
it's no joke.
Jesus. Lions. Wow.
Yeah, I'm not saying they're not gonna make the playoffs, but this is like a big boy step up for CJ. And I know everything was glorious last year, but this is kind of the true test for them. And Paul Sr., I wasn't trying to troll you about the Cowboys, but what's your like theory on how the Cowboys will handle these contracts? And in all honesty, you may want to keep your quarterback, keep your number 1 defender, and trade CD because of the market. You can get multiple firsts for him.
Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Yes. Yeah. Makes sense.
Shut up, boy. I would say it's really understanding the market for all of them. And what we don't know is what is the relationship. You see the tassels on the front, but not what's behind them, right? So what is that? What is CeeDee Lamb really saying to his agent behind the scenes? What is Micah Parsons really saying? And Dak, right? Dak is saying it's not about the money, but what do they really? We don't know. And what's the market when they're talking to each other? So, unfortunately, I don't think you can keep all three. And so it is a problem. And then you got to think to yourself, and of the three, the one that seems the most is not content the most. The one that says the things out there that get the headlines is Micah, right? And I don't want Micah Parsons to go away, but that's what we don't know. What are the relationships? Because he says some things out there that stirs some stuff up, And so what is his chemistry? And obviously he's phenomenal talent. I don't want to get rid of him. I'm not sure you can pay all three, and if you do, what are you doing to the team 3 years from now? So,
Exactly. But let me say this, a couple things. One, you have the state income tax in Texas, which is an advantage, no state income tax. And the Cowboys certainly are a very good drafting team. They know how to draft. I mean,
They've kicked
look
ass.
look at the Packers know how to draft. Obviously the Jets here and there know how to draft. There's a lot. I mean, the Cowboys certainly are one of the best drafting teams. Steelers, Ravens, you can name
Sure.
Patriots are garbage. I mean, just Patriots are not very good.
Yeah.
So, that's about all I got. I don't want to take up too much of your time because we're actually going to breakfast, Paul, with the family. So for once,
there you go. Way to take a page out of the playbook, baby. Go enjoy it.
Nice.
Exactly. All right, gentlemen.
Thanks,
Pleasure talking to you again. Have a good one.
All right, thank you. And that was funny on the not funny. The parking story sounds horrible because I feel like that could if I come out to a boot, I'm like, oh, Jesus, oh God.
That's right. By the way, Mike Tyson is gonna punch whatever his name is in the spleen.
Jake Paul, please.
Jake Paul in the spleen. All you have to go back is look at George Foreman when he won the heavyweight title at a very late age. I don't remember how old he was, but he knocked out Michael Moore, maybe his name is. His fist only traveled 4 inches when George Foreman knocked that dude out. So power doesn't go anywhere, as you well know. When I choke you out every time I see you in person, so power doesn't go anywhere. And Jake Paul is not a professional boxer, and the first time Mike Tyson hits him, it's going to hurt, and he's going to want to jump over the rope and head out of Dodge.
Okay,
So
let me see. I'm looking. I was looking at George Foreman's, boxing record. Jesus, he fought a lot. Wow. Okay, let me see. I'm trying to see. Do you know where it was?
Yeah, I don't. But the year was 1994, 1995 when he was the oldest person. I think he was 48.
Yeah, I have Michael Moore in here.
Michael Moore, that's it.
Okay, 1994 knockout.
Nailed it.
Yeah,
Look
there
at that.
you go. Wow. Oh.
Look at that.
He was
Passing
45.
yards.
He was 45 and 299 days old.
Right, and he actually wouldn't, and he was not in the shape Mike Tyson is in. He actually, in between rounds, he would not sit down because if he sat down, he thought that would drain more energy out. So he literally stood up. He never sat down on his stool. And one punch, done. Michael Moore, the little slot machine with his eyeballs, and people are like, "Oh, it looks like he threw the fight." And then Michael Moore picked up his head, and they showed like a close up of his eyes. Yeah. No, he did not. There's no faking that look.
Well, I will just say I've met one of George Foreman's sons. They did this show. I think it was called American Grit. And he had one of his 12 sons on there because they all have his name. And he joined me on my radio show. So, yeah, that's a good memory. All right, let's go.
What number did you have?
I think it's... Oh, boy. Let me see how many there are real quick.
You just call... Does he go by the number?
Yeah, it does, actually. Wait, I think I still have him in my contacts, and I don't have all of them in my contacts, so he should pop up. Let me see. George... he's not popping up unless I just called him 4 or 5. I don't know what to.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
I have that in the context, but George Foreman's son. All right, let's go to the phone lines. It looks like this is the guy that was causing all kinds of juicy stuff happening in the comments section. So let's bring him in. I've heard of CJ2K. But now Whittle 2K here on the program. Buffalo Bills represent. Paul? What's up, man?
How you doing? Good, man. I'm good.
So is that the new stadium behind you?
Yeah, it's a
Oh, very nice.
picture of the stadium. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. What's on your
Is there a
mind?
roof over it or
No, no roof. They have like a awning type situation that's going to protect most of the crowd. But yeah, if you're playing, you're in it. You're in the element. It's kind of like
As
being in
it should be.
Miami, but not on the home side. You know.
Oh, I see
right?
what you're
That's a bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see if it pays off.
saying. Okay.
I,
We'll
I
see.
mean, hey, listen, we're running the football pretty efficiently. No, I just wanted to say,
Yeah.
I think the Jets have a really good roster, but every year, uh, like, like, like you guys were saying, there's a team that doesn't make the playoffs. Somebody brought up Houston. I put Miami up there as well. Look at their losses in the offensive line and defensive line.
Mhm.
Yes, they did. They upgraded from Jerome Baker to Jordan Brooks, but he's still an average linebacker. Kendall Fuller had a very nice year with Washington, but you had four number one draft picks. You had 4 first-round draft picks on the line for most of that year, and they couldn't stop the run, so teams just kind of did whatever they wanted.
And they have the 2
So,
late injuries. Bradley Chubb blew out his ACL. Jalen
yes,
Phillips blew out his Achilles. That happened so late in the year. When are they coming back? And are they coming back full strength? Big questions.
right. Not to mention they drafted Chop Robinson, who really wasn't productive at Penn State. If you can tell me a defensive end that came from Penn State that's been productive in the NFL, that's the first one that's ever done it because Michael Parsons was a linebacker when he was there. They made him a defensive end when he got to Dallas. But Muhammad Kamara, great motor, but undersized. Jordan Poyer, who last year, all of the Miami fans told me he was washed and too old. Now all of a sudden he gets to Miami, puts their jersey on and finds the fountain of youth. So apparently Jordan Poyer is going to be better than the 58th best safety in the NFL according to PFF, I guess. I don't know what they're doing with Jalen Ramsey. Every time I see Jalen Ramsey, he's chasing the Buffalo Bills receiver, trying to catch up. So I don't know. They're going to put up points. They're going to score because they have a track team, but they lost a very good interior offensive lineman in Robert Hunt. Connor Williams was their starting center, and he was excellent for them when he was healthy. He just wasn't healthy a ton. But when he was healthy, he was very good for them. They replaced him with Aaron Brewer, 6'1", 270. Josh Allen's probably bigger than him. I mean, that's the guy that's protecting the quarterback. Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, Miami never really gets anything out of the tight end, and I think you kind of need that when you're not able to protect your quarterback for a long time or run the football super efficiently. So, I would like to put Miami up there. I'm a little higher on the Steelers than you guys are. I think the Steelers have an excellent defense.
Okay.
I think the moves that they made on that offensive line are very, very good. The
I agree.
the AFC North has never had. I mean, I don't know. I don't remember the last time they had a repeat champ. So I got Cincinnati winning that division. They're playing the 4th place schedule. They're still elite offensively. They added to that offensive line. They got to figure out the safety situation. But Von Bell and Geno Stone are very good players. Coming back to a system that Von's very comfortable in. The linebackers are still there. Trey Henderson had 17 sacks last year. Cam Taylor-Britt's a monster at corner. Mike Hilton really can't cover, but he's a great blitzer and run defender. So I think that them playing a 4th place schedule kind of puts them in the driver's seat in that division. But I think the Steelers could find their way at second. Second place.
The last time we had a back-to-back AFC North was actually right before this year when the Ravens did it. The Bengals did it back-to-back in 2021 and 2022.
Oh, okay.
Was when they did it. But no, I think the only thing about Pittsburgh is their defense is nasty. Tomlin's an awesome head coach that doesn't get enough love, and there's a lot of talent all over the place. It's just quarterback for me. It's whether you believe in Russell Wilson / Justin Fields or not. And if you do, then maybe the Steelers are a really, really good team. And if he's not, then, well, Will they be able to kind of overcome? Because they have some Jetish to them. And what I mean is, like, back last year, right? Mason Rudolph, Kenny Pickett, and all kinds of weirdness happened at quarterback. And they overcame those odds to make the playoffs when a lot of people didn't think they could. So they do have that kind of thing where they've played above their weight, even when quarterback play has been crappy. So I'm kind of curious what happens with Fields and Wilson.
Yeah, I mean, look at the year he had last year for the Denver Broncos. I mean, that team was void of talent all over the place. I mean, you know a couple of guys. You know, they say Simmons. You know Surtain. You know Cortland Sutton.
Mm-hmm.
That's like everybody else is. They're kind of like. I mean, they had some pretty good linebackers. Jewel and stuff. I liked the kid they took out of Arkansas 2 years ago.
Drew Sanders.
Yeah, Drew Sanders. And then they got my guy out of Iowa, Riley. They took the corner Riley out of
I got you.
Iowa. So yeah, they have some talent, but for the most part, I think the way the Steelers are constructed reminds me a little bit of this. Not nearly as talented, but it reminds me of the Seattle Seahawks team where they could really run the football, utilize play action, and just kind of let Russell Wilson be a game manager and then make plays when we need it. The defense, we got your back. I think
Riley Moss. We have an Iowa Hawkeyes fan
Moss,
in the audience. There you go. Alan, shout out to you. What about your Buffalo teams? That's what I'm curious about, because I've gotten different. I'm a radio host outside of this normally as my day job, and we cover a lot of Buffalo. And I've heard conflicting opinions. Some people believe, hey, Josh Allen, baby, that's all we need. We're going to be great. And others have been like, boy, some of these losses, I don't know what's going to happen. What is your take, my man?
I actually live in North Jersey. So I'm like smack dab in the middle of like Jets country. My father's a diehard Jets fan, which is kind of weird during the NFL.
So what happened? How did he go wrong? What went wrong? Your father sounds like a wonderful man. I'm just wondering the one big mistake in his life. What happened there?
My mother's a Steelers fan, so I guess I was caught between a rock and a hard place. Right. So
yeah, I got to pull out the Punnett squares on that one. How does the Jet dad to okay? I don't know the math on that to get Buffalo, but okay.
Weird. That's crazy. I know. But yeah, I mean, you know, I kind of was allowed to find my own path. Neither one, pushed me towards one direction. So, I was allowed to kind of find my own way. And I did. I found Buffalo and here we are. But for the Bills, Josh Allen is a top 5 quarterback. I mean, I don't think that's arguable.
Of course.
The offensive line last year was excellent. I mean, that was the best offensive line Josh Allen had in his career. We're returning the majority of that offensive line back. I know you brought up earlier that moving the left guard
Connor McGovern,
to center. How does that shake out? I think it's good for Connor McGovern. He doesn't have to go square up with defensive tackles. He's going to be more of a seal guy or a double team guy or even a pull guy, depending on what we're doing. And one thing about him is he has a very good anchor, so he doesn't really give up depth, which is why they put him in the middle. But he's not a people mover. He's not a guy that creates displacement. So moving him in the middle, putting him next to David Edwards, and putting between David Edwards and Osiris Torrance, those guys are actually people movers. David Edwards was the left guard for the champion Rams in 2021. I think our booking tight ends are very, very good. Spencer Brown had a solid year, both in pass protection and in run blocking. He's 6'8", 330 pounds, perfect 10 RAS score. Deion Dawkins, one of the best left tackles in the game. So we're returning that group. The tight ends you guys spoke about, Dawson Knox is an excellent blocker. Also a guy that can get down the field and make some athletic plays. And Dalton Kincaid, 71 catches, 600 plus yards, etc. I just think with that front, 7 guys, we're going to be able to run the football. We're going to be able to utilize play action. Josh Allen's numbers under center, utilizing play action are excellent. His numbers in shotgun with using play action are very, very good. So Yeah, I know the wide receivers don't have a lot of names. I know it's not a lot of name cachet with the wide receivers, but Curtis Samuel had his best year under Joe Brady playing with Bridgewater at the quarterback in Carolina.
Correct. Right. Yes.
Josh Allen's better. I think Brady learned some things from last time he was the offensive coordinator. Khalil Shakir caught 86% of the ball thrown his way last year. We expect his targets to go up this year. I don't know if he'll have 1,000 yards, but I expect him to be in the 60 to 70 catch range, close to 800 yards, if not more. I don't know. It depends on how things go this year. Keon Coleman's not going to have a ton of pressure on him. We also brought in Claypool, who's been very consistent. But I mean, like, let's not read too deep into that. Like, Claypool's wide receiver 5 or 6. Like that's just what he is. MVS is here. MVS is here. I know he has drops in the regular season, but the man has no playoff drops in his career, and he's played for great quarterbacks. He played for your guy when he was in Green Bay, and he played with Patrick Mahomes for the last couple of seasons. Now he's with Josh Allen. We expect him to be a leader and a guy that produces in the playoffs, where we expect to be back to. And then, I mean, you have Mac Hollins and again Claypool and KJ Hamler's there. They signed KJ Hamler last year, worked on his body all year, all off season, and he's learned the playbook pretty well. At least he's had some flashes in training in OTAs as well. So I think the offense is going to be fine. I'm not worried about it. Mina Kimes was on the Cover One broadcast.
I saw that.
Good
get by Anthony. Yeah.
Anthony Prowan is my guy. I like him a lot. But yeah, Mina Kimes is like, I don't have a problem with this Buffalo offense. I think it's going to be good. I think you don't know who to prepare for. I think these guys are going to play better for better quarterbacks, a better team, better supporting cast. And everybody's going to get an opportunity to eat. So I'm not as worried about the offense. I'm not saying it's going to be great. I'm not saying we're going to go out there and throw for 5,000 yards, 50 touchdowns. But I think Josh Allen, for the last 4 years, he's had 4,000 yards, 40 total touchdowns. I expect that to continue this year coming up.
All right, we'll see. Whittle, I appreciate the call, man. We'll have to do this again.
Yes, sir. I watch you every Saturday, man. You're one of my favorite watches, bro. So keep up the great work.
All right, thanks, pal. Whittle 2K joining us there on the show. Okay, good stuff on some Buffalo, and I love all the drama in the comment section. So great. All right, beautiful.
Yeah, I just want to give everyone thank you all for tuning into the Buffalo Bills podcast. But anyways, before we go, I'd like to tell everybody about a $250 missed phone call. So you're talking about George Foreman a little while ago. That's how much George Foreman made off his grills.
Oh, right.
So the $250 million missed phone call. Hulk Hogan actually was the first choice for the grill, and he was picking up his kids at school like a good father does, and his wife did not give him the message, and so he missed out on being the Hulk Hogan grill, and $250 million. And in pure poetic justice, or worse, things couldn't get worse, or Shakespearean drama, she took half or whatever money she left when she ended up marrying one of Hulk Hogan's his son's name is Nick. One of Nick's friends, she ended up shacking up with him and taking half of the Hulkster stuff after cutting him out of $250 million. So,
wow, that's a cup of suck if I've ever heard of it. Okay, wow. Well, fun show with some splash of Buffalo in there. All right. Thank you to the 400 people that are live here in the room. Again, like the video, hit subscribe, or if you're watching after the fact, we always appreciate those people as well, or listening to the audio-only version of the podcast. Pop, we've got 2 more of these 4 packs to open up. We'll be doing that over the next couple weeks. Plus, I'm looking forward to that brother story. That sounds like a doozy.
That's right. The Broadster will be in person. Maybe he'll give a play-by-play of that story.
Yeah, I've never asked him about that.
Have to set up a mock-up so he can reenact the story we're going to talk about.
That would be great. Like I said, there's been that story told around the campfire, but I've never heard it from his perspective before. So it could be quite the story. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow on Boy Green Daily, and I'll explain real quick because people are asking about the story. The George Foreman grill, that is a thing that George Foreman got. Apparently, as my father said, Hulk Hogan was the first choice, but they couldn't get in contact with Hulk Hogan fast enough because his wife missed the call or didn't do the call. And then they're like, all right, I guess we'll give it to Foreman. And then obviously everyone knows the George Foreman grill. So he's this awesome boxer, but he's also known for his grill. They made all this crazy money off of. So Hulk Hogan lost it because of that. So green vibes and the few people that are asking, that is indeed why. Anywho, we'll sign off. We'll see you next time. My father has breakfast awaiting. We'll see if it's still warm, and it should be a doozy. Thanks, everybody.
Hey, hold on a second. Hold on.
Oh,
there
was a
super chat you missed.
Oh, yeah. Okay, let me scroll back up. Oh, here it is. Oh, sorry. Ace of Spade. Thank you for sending this in. Hey, Boy Green, what's up, Pop? Boy Green, I don't know if you know him, but you should reach out and invite DKBX Jets as a guest to do a show. It would be fun. Yeah, give me whatever his information is. I don't think I know off the top of my head, but maybe I will know once I see the person or their social media or what have you. So Ace of Spade, let me know a social media handle or something, or give him my information at BoyGreen25. Everyone tell him to reach out and we'll make that happen, whoever this individual is. But I appreciate all requests or all suggestions for people to join the show. We do a show 7 days a week, so I got plenty of ops to get someone on the show for sure. But yeah, it would be great to get this DKBX fan on the show. I love having fun. So no, thank you for that. I didn't want to get off without the super chat.
That's
so
right.
Sorry about that, Ace of Spades. My apologies. So yes, awesome. We'll make sure we make that happen. And which again, you guys can reach out to me on all social media. It's at BoyGreen25, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or on a YouTube comment. If you give it to me that way, I should be able to see it as well. So any of those ways, Ace of Spade, and we'll make that happen. Thank you so much, by the way, for the super chat. That's cool. And anytime you guys have suggestions, feel free to send them in as potential guests for the show in the future. All right, any final comments, Pop?
Don't forget to get your Boy Green gear, coffee cups. They've been in demand, so make sure you get them.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk to you next Sunday.
All right, looking forward to it. And then you guys will get to meet one of my brothers, which should be a time. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Take care.